Guardians came home from a 7-game road trip going 6-1, allowing 10 earned runs as a starting pitching staff. And now their starters have pitched 5 innings in 2 games. What the heck is happening? We'll talk about that and why it's not all on the starting pitching.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You know, Jeff, I recorded an episode on Memorial Day because I was so excited about how the Guardians were playing. It was a fun weekend in Philadelphia, very close games, a 6-1 road trip. Things were going great. I spent extra time talking Guardians with all of our listeners. And this is how the Guardians repay us. They come home and they get obliterated by the Washington Nationals in 2 straight games. Welcome to Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that covers your team every day from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. That over there on the other side of the mic and screen is Jeff Ellis, host of the show for 8 years. I am Justin Lada. I've been here for 4. We've both been covering the Guardians minor league system in the draft for the last 19 years. On today's show, Jeff, we'll get into Gavin Williams needing to be the stopper today on Wednesday. We'll talk about Will Dion's major league debut, how outfield is still a need. We're starting off today's show talking about the offense being as much to blame as the starting pitching. Let's be honest. Joey Cantillo was not good. There's no getting around that. He couldn't throw strikes. I think the Nationals only had 2 hits off him, 3 hits off him. They still gave up 4 runs because he walked 4 batters. That's not going to do you very good. It was the opposite of Tanner, where Tanner was throwing a couple balls down the middle of the plate that got destroyed. Joey Cantillo just couldn't find the strike zone with anything. I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher in this era, at least, I've been watching baseball for, let's say I'm 37, let's say 32 years.
37.
Yeah. I don't think that I've seen a pitcher throw 70 pitches in 2 innings. Even back in the 90s when you let guys throw more. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that, which is why he was out for 2 innings. I just can't believe we went from the starters giving up 10 earned runs in 7 games on that road trip to 11 earned runs in 5 innings in 2 games. Like, I understand the Nationals offense is much better than the Phillies and the Tigers, but man, something's got to give here. Like they have to get out of those early innings. Like Gavin Williams is going to have to go at least 6 to. I know that there's a day off Thursday, thankfully. I want to talk about that too, Jeff. I want to talk about the fact that this team has played more games than everybody else to this point. Like obviously everybody plays 162 in the end, but so far the Guardians have the most games played in baseball. But the offense has not done its part for a better part of a week either, Jeff. So I guess everyone is to blame, even though they were 6-1 on that road trip. We're 7 days deep now in the offense scoring 3 runs or less, and we know that this team's magic number offensively is usually 4.
Yeah, the offense has been offensive, right? Look forward to my ad read for some humor with it. But yeah, today it was a closer game, so I get pulling Cantillo. Yesterday, I was like, I kind of wish Bobby had worn it a little just so the bullpen was not as battered as it is. The fact that they had such a quick hook in both these games means your bullpen is, as you pointed out, it's like Gavin has to go deep. They need him to be out there and dealing. And, the big thing is over the course of a year, like you have these ups and downs, right? Like I'm not going to sit here. It was getting so negative online. I put Hammy on my headphones and I went and I mowed my lawn. I'm not going to deal with people. I'm just going to listen to the game. I'm going to, enjoy the fun moments, but I know like you're going to have some stinkers. You're going to have some moments where you lose to teams you should beat. That's just the way this happens. And you can hear from my voice. I got a little too much pollen today, but it's a part. They are essentially 35% of the way through the season. If I do my old thing where I multiply that times 17 games, we decided is how many NFL teams play. They'd be almost 6 games into the football season. So it's like, it's still a small sample and they're still have one of the best records in the American League. It's a negative stretch, right? And I kind of thought they would have this stretch, honestly, after they swept Detroit. Like I thought, we'll probably lose 2 out of 3 to Philly. There's always kind of a downswing, right? There's some downswing moments, and they won that series. This is the downswing. It happens. Like consistently winning a ton is very hard to do. You'd like to see your pitchers go more. You'd like to see Jose not look like a shadow of himself. I think the biggest problem right now, and I texted it to you, is Jose has struggled all year. Like this is the second worst year of his career since he has become like an everyday player. And for the early part of the season, though, Lada was carrying them, and Angel Martinez was playing great. Well, and Schneemann was a force of nature. Well, now Schneemann has a WRC plus in the month of May that's lower than Bo Naylor's was before he was sent away over the last 2 weeks. Patrick Bailey has a higher OPS than Chase Delauder, and Angel Martinez over the last week has been the worst hitter on the team. So a lot of guys are kind of bottoming out at once. People love to blame the hitting coach, but just it's the type of hitters they have. Angel is always going to chase. He's always going to be aggressive, and that's why you and I have always had concerns. Schneemann, for some reason this year, is chasing a lot more. I don't think that benefits him, but when both these guys are streaky guys. They're going to be streaky. They've always been streaky. The thing is just seeing Chase adapt back, right? Kevin McGonical's having that same problem in Detroit. At some point, we'll see Travis Bazzana have that same problem. Like everyone in the league catches up. So it's just right now it's hard because a lot of guys are hitting the skids at the same time. And that's why they haven't scored a lot of runs. Basically, since the Framber game, they've been a very low-scoring team. They won low-scoring games against Detroit. They won low-scoring games against Philly. And now they really had a chance to win today. It's like if Manzardo and Delauder were flipped in the order, then maybe you don't ask Dion to go for a third inning, and maybe this game is a lot closer, and then they actually win it, right? It's like those little steps because it's bases loaded, and that's, to me, that's the real killer in this game. Like twice you had run scoring opportunities with José Ramírez on base. Jose of old always stepped up big in those situations. It's great he got RBIs, he had productive outs. Problem is with Jose, you don't care about productive outs. Like a lot of other guys on this team, you're okay with productive outs. You need Jose to do something, and outside of that Red Series, I mean, Jose's may not be an all-star this year. Like that's going to be one of those interesting discussion points. We talked about Bazzana should maybe be an all-star. Jose probably shouldn't be.
I don't think he will be unless the players.
Yeah, I mean he might get voted in because of name value and things like that. But
I don't even think fan vote. I'm saying the players might take him just because of popularity. Like the players, a lot of players around the league think he's underrated, and he's not having a great year. Obviously. I mean, like you said, it's.
I mean, Miguel Vargas has the highest WRC plus. You also got Junior Caminero. Josh Young's been fantastic. I mean, those three guys all deserve it more than Jose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the 20 steals is really the only thing, plus the walks, and I think the defense has been pretty good overall, at least metrically. So Jose is not really hitting. Like he had a really nice spurt against the Reds, which I predicted, and I thought maybe that would get him going. And then he did carry that into Detroit. He had a couple good games in Detroit, and then he had one hit in the Philadelphia series. He's got, I think 2 hits in this series. The one double tonight was a double because of a bad defensive play, and then he had a sac fly. So yeah, you don't have Jose carrying the load with Chase having a hard time adjusting because everyone's throwing away, and he's either popping it out to left field, or I think he's also kind of expanded the zone a little bit. I mean, he's still walking, he's still getting into good counts, but there's a little more swing and miss right now. And like you said, Bazzana is going to go through it eventually too. He's not going to. I mean, maybe he won't. Some guys, can keep it up, but he's got such a good approach. Maybe it won't, but I'm sure at some point he will. I thought, like I said, I thought I could chalk it up in Philadelphia to say, okay, they scored 1 run on Friday in Philadelphia, and that was off of Johan Duran, which, by the way, that was his first home run of the year allowed because they faced Christopher Sanchez on Friday. Okay, well, Christopher Sanchez is a Cy Young contender. No shame in that. Like you tip your cap, right? Saturday, Zach Wheeler, no runs. Zach Wheeler, really good pitcher for the last several years. So, like, no shame there. On Sunday against Andrew Painter, they did get some runs off him. That's great, and they won the game. But this Nationals team does not have a good pitching staff, and sometimes you're going to struggle. Like sometimes you're going to face good pitching or bad pitching and not hit. It's just the way that baseball goes sometimes in a 162-game season. And the Guardians don't have a perfect offense. Like the Nationals lineup is definitely better than the Guardians. I don't think there's any way around that. It's pretty darn close, pretty good. But you didn't hit PJ Poulin. I didn't know who that was. I didn't know he was starting or opening on Monday until right before the game. Zach Littell has been one of the worst pitchers in baseball this year. Cade Cavalli does
solid.
have good nut. He's solid.
He's solid.
But he has really had a hard time against lefties this year. He didn't have a pitch that really helped him against lefties, and that should have been great for Cleveland because they have a very lefty heavy lineup.
Instead, he just could use the curveball, which shouldn't work on lefties, but it worked today.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a real great changeup, so that wasn't an issue either. So this is just one where you just had a bad, you're having a bad stretch offensively. Like you said, you got guys that aren't stepping up. Like Manzardo's crushing the ball this month. That's great. Bazzana's Bazzana. Rocchio's been one of your most consistent hitters. Fry's had a nice month. Hoskins has been doing okay. Everybody else has been, close to league average, if not worse. So the starting pitching the last 2 days has been very, very miserable to watch. It's not fun when you're behind 6 or 7 runs to start the game. That puts your offense in a bad spot. But the offense has to find a way, especially when you're talking about a pitching staff like the Nationals that has not been good. So we can get into more of that. Jeff and I have been discussing outfielders off the air. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk about Will Dion's call to the majors, as well as looking at the Game 3 on Wednesday.
The NHL playoffs are here. I can't believe what's happening with Colorado myself, where every shift matters, every moment is intense, and the pressure is at its highest. And again, so that we, instead of making fun of the Guardians offense, I'm not going to kick them any more while they're down. So let's talk about the team I talked about. Colorado, the Avalanche, just had a season for the ages, one of the best seasons I have ever seen, and are somehow down 3-0 to the Knights. They have no umph in their stick. Their sticks are broken. They need replacement sticks. What's going to help those sticks have some force, get a little power in their slap shots, make it so they can, get the net. I almost said the ball. Get the puck in the net. Could be Rougier. Rougier offers treatments designed to help you get ready and stay ready when it matters. Certainly not happening with the Guardians offense and not happening for the Avalanche of the postseason right now. Head to Rougier.com/LockedOnNHL and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's Rougier.com/LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Rougier, performance medicine for men.
Thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. While you're here, check out the Everydayer Club if you haven't already. Right now, you can get a 7-day free trial, and that gets you access to ad-free episodes of all of the shows we produce on audio, and it gives you access to the private listener Discord, where you can chat with myself, Jeff, other listeners and fans of the Guardians and the show, as well as other hosts from other shows, other fans from other teams. There's a Discord channel for every team you could think of, so you can talk a little trash over there or complain about how the Guardians aren't hitting. And go over to I suggest you go over to the Cubs Discord. It can't be good right now. I think that's a good place to talk about, Jeff, because
can I also just say, for as much as people, sorry, everyone's hearing interrupt you, but it's like, okay, so the team isn't hitting, right? Oh no, this team, the offense, it's miserable. Fire the hitting coach, this and that. Like, it's 2 games, which, again, 2 games. Like,
well,
and I know it's the week before that, and we talked about that, but even if we look at it, like, they are league average this year. They're at a 99. They're middle of the pack, 17th for WRC plus. I feel like I noticed someone recently said WRC plus is a trash stat in our comments without being able to explain what it was, which was pretty funny. If you look at runs, they're 16th in the league in runs. They're doing things. It's middle of the pack offense. It's a long season. There's ups and downs. Right now is a down, right? Like it's a rough weekend. Do you know what team leads baseball in runs scored this year? It's the Nationals. So it's a tough offensive matchup. They need to do better. They should be attacking this Nationals team, who is also 30th in the Nationals, I believe, in pitching are last in WAR, and I believe last in FIP. Like this is a team. Okay, they're not last in FIP. Interesting. Their FIP is not terrible. They're 27th. They are terrible. I just scrolled past them too quickly. But you need to take care of business. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of guys are scuffling. But on the course of the year, it's been about an average offense. So let's pull back a little bit on the sky is falling. I mean, feel your feels, but also take a moment to realize, like, it's easy to get frustrated after games like this.
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, if you're, it's fair to be frustrated too, because fandom is not rational. It's short.
Oh, it's never is.
Get that. And you're coming off, even if the offense did scuffle the last 7 days, you're still coming off a 6-1 road trip against. I know the Tigers are struggling, but the Phillies have played really good ball in the month of May, so you weren't catching them at a bad time and just beating them. They're still a decent team, and you're catching the Nationals at a really good time. They've played very well recently too. There's a reason they're above 500 finally for the first time in quite some time, probably since the trade of Juan Soto, honestly. So yeah, they have to be better. There's no doubt about that. Like you said, there's ups and downs. And the Cubs have won 10 in a row, and things were great. And I know the host of Locked On Cubs, Sam, was going on about how this is such a great season. It's one of the greatest seasons since 2016. And now they've lost 10 in a row, and the sky is falling in Chicago. And you know what? They are in trouble in Chicago because they've got 2 guys that are going to free agency this year that we'll talk about in a second.
They got more than 2. They got a lot.
Well,
most of that team is going to free agency.
They have 2 outfielders, and their starting pitching is a mess. Like Matt Boyd is one of their best starters, and he's hurt. Justin Steele had a setback. Like the Cubs are in serious trouble. They've had a lot of injuries. The Guardians are just a team with guys offensively like Chase and Bazzana. They're young. Bazzana's been great for now, and Manzardo has had a weird season. And you have guys like Angel and Sheeman who, because they have a certain amount of talent, they're going to have hot streaks because there's things they do well, but the holes in their game also cause them to have really big valleys too. And this is what we're seeing from those 2 right now. And that's why, Jeff, I think that outfield is still a need for them to address. We've been talking about the left-handed reliever for a couple of days, and I still think that's a need too. But I think outfield is something it'd be nice to address. And I say that saying, yeah, the Guardians should trade for an outfielder. Well, no doubt, Justin, because we've been talking about this for how many years now. They need an outfielder. We get that. The idea is good in theory. The actual ability to do it is a lot harder. Like Jeff, you and I were digging through the numbers. Like, okay, who's a guy that makes sense that could be available? And I dipped down to 100. We were looking at data, and I dipped down to 100 plate appearances to see, like, okay, who are the best guys here? And the top of the crop here is obviously all the superstars. Like, you're not getting Jordan Walker or Juan Soto. And JJ Bleday, by the way, is 5th in WRC plus in baseball this year. The guy I've been wanting for a couple of years, Jeff. Just saying.
But last year you gave up on him too. In
fairness, I did too. Like there's Mickey Moniak, who is a mirage because he hits well in Colorado, and he's hurt right now anyway.
He hit well on the road this year, though. He hit well on the road this year. We had that debate. He hit well on the road this year.
Still not buying it. But like the rest of it is okay. You have like Riley Green and Cody Bellinger, not getting those guys. Pages, they're not getting him. Good for the Pirates with Ryan O'Hearn. That was a good move. Austin Martin, we talked about him. He's cooled down after a really hot start. He's not really
94, so he's still like, it's not like he's completely falling apart.
You and I wanted Taylor Ward in the offseason too, and he's not hitting for any power this year.
But he's been great.
Yeah, he's got a 128 WRC plus because he walks a ton, and he'd fit really well in this lineup. But I don't know where Baltimore is if they trade him. You and I thought Tyler O'Neill would be a great addition to this team, and Tyler O'Neill is just getting his lunch handed to him this year. Like just look at the top 30 outfielders, and you're looking at guys who either won't be traded by their teams because they're really good, or guys that like you just aren't going to fit this team. Like Brandon Marsh isn't getting traded. You're not trading for Troy Johnston. You're not trading for Brandon Nimmo, Leody Tavares, Michael Harris Jr. not being traded. Trevor Larnach, you're not getting. Like, it's one thing to sit there and say like they do need an outfielder, I think, to combat the inconsistencies of Martinez and Sheeman, but it's easy to say, but it's so much harder to find like one that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, really bottom lining it, the 110 that Martinez has, even with his struggles this month, and that's the thing. Over the course of this month, he's been about average. So his ups and downs, he's been closer to average. Like getting a 110, even getting 100 is kind of hard to find. So it's like you're probably kind of stuck where you are, unless, like I said, like Taylor Ward is probably, if Baltimore really falls out of it. But at the end of the day, it's like I would be curious if Baltimore would give Taylor Ward the qualifying offer or not. Like, he's valuable, but it's like, is he valuable?
He's older
for them, like maybe they still do, because it's like probably gonna be what, like 22, 23 million. So it's like, you have to beat the value of a first round pick for Baltimore. But at the same time, I think you can beat it because I think they also have a GM who's getting closer and closer to a hot seat who might want talent that's closer to helping them out if things go awry than trading for a draft pick that is like that's far away. So, I think he is probably the ideal candidate, honestly, for this team. Yeah.
Yeah, there's other guys out there. Like, oh, by the way, just off topic here, Trent Grisham, the guy we talked about this offseason, saying, oh, he had a really good year last year, and he took the qualifying offer from the Yankees. 97 WRC plus, so close to league average, but 192, 315, 365. Not great for a guy making, 21, 22 million. I mean, even Pete Crow Armstrong got that big $100 million deal, 94 like WRC
90s,
plus.
right? Yeah.
Now, I would take that and with his all-world defense, but
and the Cubs knew that too. His second half was indicative that was coming. I think anyone who really pays attention knew that was coming. You traded because of the all-world defense and about a league average bat. But yeah, it's just hard. And like anyone saying, "Oh, center field's an impossibility." Like center fielders just don't exist. It's the hardest position to find in baseball anymore. So you really are kind of looking for probably a corner outfielder. But again, like at this point, I'm still kind of, with all of my concerns with him and everything else, I'm still kind of Angel's got through July to prove that this is his spot to hold down. I think Schneemann and Halpin are redundant, as I've talked about, and Schneemann is he's a perfect 26 man. He runs well. He can play so many different positions, plays them all well defensively. Occasionally he can come in and have a big hit. When he's hot, you want to play him every day. And when he's not hot, you want to, move away from him. But he's a solid bench bat. But, right now, I think they're in a decent position with just a few big weaknesses and kind of seeing how these young guys perform and then using that as a litmus test to see what the need is in like 2 months.
Yeah, the hard thing is, like you said, play guys when they're hot and sit them when they're not. The problem is when you have, a couple of those guys at once who are both cold, and what do? You don't really have a good option in that case, and you're stuck with days like this because Martinez is chasing and Schneemann's not hitting, and right now you have
so none of it would have mattered if Jose wasn't a shadow of himself. Let's just be real honest. Like,
yeah, they do need Jose to pick things up for sure. Like he's
100% where it is. Like Jose comes up and has the 2 big hits like he normally has, they win this game, and we're not having this discussion at all. So a lot of this is just directly on Jose.
Or they might not even win this game, but at least it's like
Jose has those hits. I bet they win it.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely closer. So when he needs to pick up the slack where other guys are, especially young players like DeLauder and your streakier guys that are role players like Martinez and Schneemann, you got to have your star in the middle of the order pick things up for sure. All right. Well, Dion made his Major League debut. Good for him. We'll talk about that next. We'll also talk about Game 3. Gavin Williams needing to come through in a big way for the Guardians. Shout out to we had a new Apple podcast reviews the other day. So if you haven't left one of those in a while, we do appreciate those. DNPT42, great podcast. Always tune in when there's big news, big win. Just looking for reactions, anything Guardians related. The guys are wonderful, and their knowledge about Cleveland baseball off the charts. He did say he wished our titles did include multiple capitalized words, and he emphasized words capitalized, which is hilarious. Great job, guys. Appreciate you, Dan. And we'll experiment with those things, but some of those are out of our control in some ways, but we do appreciate that. So we do appreciate Apple Podcast reviews. We appreciate if you are listening that you auto download on your audio platform so the show stays in your feed, and that supports the show, even if you got to catch up a couple days later, and hitting the bell on YouTube so you get reaction videos. Jeff, I recorded a video when I got the news that Will Dion was being called up, as well as a post-game reaction, which we do every single day. But when there is news or we post episodes, you can get notified of those if you hit the bell on YouTube after you subscribe. So yes, Will Dion did get the call on Monday night that he was coming to Cleveland on Tuesday. The Clippers had an off day in Toledo because they played Memorial Day, and normally there's no minor league baseball on Monday. And he said he was going golfing on Tuesday, and Andy Tracy said, "No, you're not going golfing. You're going to Cleveland." So they sent Logan Allen back to AAA. We knew that last night, and because he had gone 4 innings, and they needed someone who could pitch today. And guess what? They were right. They needed that. You hoped you didn't need the extra length, but they ended up needing that. And they just wanted a second lefty in the pen who is really is a reliever. Dion's just a reliever this year, and Jeff, like you mentioned, they needed Allen to stay sharp as a sixth starter, so he was unavailable for 4 more days. So he goes back to AAA. We were thinking, at first I said, I guess it's Walters because it can't be Alamon. And then we said, okay, they have an open 40-man spot, so it's Colby Allard. And then it was Will Dion, which I was kind of surprised by at first. And then I looked at the data. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll show the data on the screen. We'll walk you through it a little bit on audio. And the data, first it just made sense. They needed a guy who could chew some innings up, be a low leverage reliever. But I looked at the data. Dion doesn't throw hard. He tops out at 92, although he hit 93 a couple times tonight. Good for him. But this year as a reliever in AAA, Jeff, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't something to sneeze at. Guys weren't hitting him hard. He was getting strikeouts. He's always avoided walks. Guys were not making contact in the zone. His stuff looked good. Like I said, he wasn't getting hit hard. And some of the Stuff Plus models really liked his slider. He's always had an interesting curveball because it's big and loopy. And his fastball gets a lot of carry. So what I mean by carry on the fastball is that it looks like it doesn't, I guess the best way to put it is defies gravity. Induced vertical break, it's how long it can prevent gravity naturally coming down from the slope of the mound to the hitter in the batter's box. And when it defies gravity, or it looks like it's not coming down like the normal plane of a pitch would from that height, it makes hitters think the ball is rising, almost like a rise ball in softball. So he's got really good break on the fastball that carries up in the zone. And that makes it hard for hitters to pick up or barrel, which is why it's effective at its velocity. Even though it's not a great pitch, he does enough with it, I would say. So also just good for Will Dion. He was a 12th round pick in 2021 out of McNeese State. He's 5'9". He's a small kid. He used to be dubbed Baby Kershaw because he emulated Clayton Kershaw's delivery in the minors. He told me a couple of years ago on my other podcast that he did that as a way to train for command and control. And he said he was never supposed to take that into a game. It was supposed to be just for a bullpen session. But it worked, and he stuck with it. And then it was giving him some injury issues. I think it was hurting his leg or his arm, he said, and he had to switch off of it. And now he pitches kind of like a left-handed James Karinchak in terms of delivery. And it's actually not a totally different arsenal either. The curveball is kind of big and loopy, and he throws a high rising fastball. It's just he doesn't throw as hard as Karinchak did his heyday. But I'm just happy for Dion to get a shot because no matter what, he can say he got it. His parents were there. I thought he was pretty good until the last inning there. He'd shoot up some innings and, could be a nice, just a long relief piece for this team. And they need a second lefty, and he might be that guy until they figure out what else to do. And luckily, by the way, they also said Sabrowski thinks he won't be out long. So fingers crossed that's actually true.
You cut out there a little bit, so I'll just say that Justin said that they think Sabrowski won't be out that long. Just to reiterate that point, in case the chop out affected more than just me. First off with Dion, it's just congratulations to a guy who has, came from that position. It's a life-changing situation because once you make it to the majors, at least as far as I know, I don't think this has changed. It's your pay rates in the minors go up. Once you have crossed that threshold, if for the rest of his life, no matter what happens, they did well by a player. But he got this opportunity because he keeps performing well. And he was a guy who 2 years ago, I think we both had in our top 20, maybe 3 years ago. And then, once he got to AAA, it just kind of showed that gap in exposure there. But moving to the pen has given him this opportunity and this chance. He is the third player to pitch from play from McNeese State in the 2000s for the Cleveland Guardians. Can you name either of the other two?
Well, I'm cheating because I know the other one because my friend texted it to me earlier today because I didn't know, and it's Ben Broussard. Ironically,
Ben Broussard is
who was the post game, who was the analyst during the series for Cleveland Guardians TV. Ironically enough, who's the other one? I don't know the other one.
We got a pitcher. By the way, someone you've talked about yesterday, Brian King is another McNeese State guy yesterday, but. Bob Howery, former reliever, actually has the most games appeared of any pitcher from McNeese State. So
his 05 season was so good.
It was. So you got Bob Howery and you got Ben Broussard. So it's some nice kind of loopings of players in there when it comes to Cleveland. But I could pull out some other old names, but there's no point in doing that as I look at the list of McNeese State guys because I didn't even recognize some of these names. But again, first and foremost, just congratulations to Will Dion. He put in the work. This is well deserved. They need a second lefty, and I mean, I think I texted you. I'm like, it's kind of an Alex Vesia light profile. Like maybe
Yeah.
they'll find something here. And then I realized I didn't send you my second message, which is like, I don't know, lefties are kind of hard. When Sabrowski came up, I always thought of him more as a loogie at first. Like I didn't expect him to ever become what he has become. So not to say he's going to become Sabrowski, but he has enough stuff there where you can kind of look around the edges and be like, there's a chance he could actually be. This could be more than a cup of coffee guy. You might also just be a cup of coffee guy, but there's a chance for more. And I love that they are giving him that chance. So
yeah, well said. I think you're right. Like there are some Sabrowski like traits, and obviously Sabrowski is a giant man. He's 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah,
and he throws
different pitchers.
Yeah. But and he throws.
But there's a lot of super small lefties. I saw someone being like, "There's like no one this size in the big leagues." I'm like, Tim Hill. Came to mind. So many lefties are sub 6 feet.
Yeah. I do think there's a possibility he can be I'm not a guy I might not use in leverage, especially obviously not going to do that right away. But like, again, it's very similar. Like you said, I think Vesia has a really good comparison, and if people probably listening aren't really familiar with Alex Vesia, but he has been one of the most effective relievers in baseball, and
he's a top 10 lefty reliever. Like that's something to really shoot for.
He used to throw like 93, 94, and now he's down to like 90, 91, which is where Will Dion is. But Vesia is still incredibly effective, and it's the same thing. It's because that fastball is, it's very tricky. It makes the hitters think the ball is moving upwards, and it goes above the barrel, and that's something Cleveland's always liked. And then he has the curveball, so those two pitches tunnel very well. And Will Dion has always had really good command and control. So there are definitely pathways here for this guy to be a successful left-handed reliever. Now, is he going to be as good as Sabrowski? No, he's not. No, I don't think anybody is.
Nobody was this year.
No, and I certainly don't think he's going to negate the need for them to trade for one if they could find one. But there's still a pathway here for this guy to be successful. And like you said, it could be just a cup of coffee, but it could be a little bit more. And I actually do expect him to be up here for a little bit while Sabrowski is down. We'll see. I don't think
I feel like they need length again, and then they're going to have to quickly cycle him out to get someone else
get Allard back on the roster. Yeah, so we'll see. All right, so Gavin Williams on the mound today for the Guardians. Obviously, he was incredible against the Phillies last Friday, 8 shutout innings. And what do they have going for the Nationals? Is it Miles Michaelis? So Gavin's got to stop him. They got to hit Miles Michaelis. I don't think he's any better. Got to turn this thing around, especially for an off day, Jeff. You want to get a win before the off day after another 13 games and 13-day stretch. So we'll come back. We'll talk about that more tomorrow.
Thank you all for joining us, and go Guardians, go.